Hi, I'm Nathan. And welcome to Sunday School.
You, oh Lord, you keep my lamp burning. You have turned my darkness to light. Set my feet high on this mountain and put my enemies to flight so high. I will praise you as long as I live. Oh, I will praise you again and again. And when I walk through the valley, I will not fear, for you are my strength and my shield. When everything around me is overtaken, I know I'll never be shaken. Whoa, 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 I'll never be shaken. You are all to keep my lamp burning. You have turned my darkness to light. Set my feet high on this mountain and put my enemies to flight so high. I will praise you as long as I live. Oh, I will praise you again and again. And when I walk through the valley, I will not fear, for you are my strength and my shield. And when everything around me is overtaken, I know I'll never be shaken. Whoa, 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 I'll never be shaken. When I walk through the valley, I will not fear, for you are my strength and my shield. When everything around me is overtaken, I know I'll never be shaken. When I walk through the valley, I will not fear, for you are my strength and my shield. When everything around me is overtaken, I know I'll never be shaken. Whoa, 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 I'll never be shaken.
Today we're going to be learning about a woman in the Bible named Ruth. Ruth has a book named after her. So it's a short book that happens to be after the book of Judges. And I have always really liked the story of Ruth for a very interesting reason. My grandmother's name was Ruth, and so I loved that she was named after someone in the Bible. So much so that when Eliza was born, I named her Eliza Ruth after my grandmother and after the story in the Bible. So I did something interesting. I got my phone and I looked up what the word Ruth means. The word Ruth means grief or pity. You're going to find out today that Ruth went through some hard times. She had grief in her life. But the name Ruth means compassionate friend. And Ruth overcame her grief and her pity to become an amazing, compassionate friend. So to start this story, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning, and we're going to talk about a different woman for a second. So there was this woman, Naomi. She was an Israelite woman, and she and her husband and her two sons lived in a land, in the Israelites' land, the Promised Land, where there was a famine. So a famine is when it hasn't rained in a long time, it's really hot, and there's no food growing. The crops are dying, and people often die because there's no food during a famine, especially in times of the Bible. So Naomi's husband and her 2 sons died. Her 2 sons were married to Moabite women. So that was a different group of people. So we had the Israelites, we had the Moabites. And the 2 sons married Moabite women. One of the women's names was Orpah, and the other woman's name was Ruth. Now, to give you a kind of an idea, it would be like we have Canadians and Americans. Now, Naomi heard that the Moabites were providing food for their people. So Naomi turned to her daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, and said, go back home and get food for yourself. You can remarry, have new lives. I want you to go and live, which is kind of a really big sacrifice because now Naomi has nobody to be with her. She had no husband. She was giving up her daughter-in-laws, nobody to take care of her. But so Orpah did that, which is great. But Ruth said, I just don't think I can do that. I don't think I can go home. And this is what she says in verse 16 of chapter 2. Nope, not 2. 1. Let's get it right. There it is. Yes, chapter 1. It says, but Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Love that verse.
Joshua, I have a joke. Why not? Share it! The joke is, what did the pirate say to the waves? I don't know. Nothing. He just waved.
What's Batman and Robin's favorite part of a joke?
The punchline. The punchline.
So Ruth stays with Naomi. And Naomi has some debts and some problems because now she doesn't have a husband to take care of her. And so Ruth says, okay, I am going to go to your relative's field and I'm going to pick up anything that's left over. So there was these fields and the people whose job was to collect the crops would go through the fields and pick everything up. Ruth was going to go behind these people and pick up any of the leftovers. So if you've ever gone strawberry picking and like cleared a row, sometimes you miss a few like crummy strawberries that weren't really good enough for you to pick the first time. That's kind of what Ruth was doing, to pick up all the leftovers and the things that weren't really crummy. And she was going to collect those leftovers and have them for food for her and Naomi, or to try and sell them and make a little bit of money. So this is what Ruth was doing to provide for Naomi. And while she was out in the field, a man named Boaz, his attention was caught by Ruth. He was taken with her. And he was impressed with her, not only for her work ethic, that she was working really hard for someone she didn't have to, but the fact that she stayed with Naomi and wanted to provide for someone she didn't have to provide for. He was really impressed with Ruth. And so he told the men that were working the field to protect Ruth and to give her water and to take care of her while she was working. Then he did something else that was pretty cool. He went and he asked to take on the responsibility for Naomi's debts. He wanted to take responsibility for her and for Ruth. And this is what he did. And this was a really big deal. A really big deal. In fact, it even had a special word. The word that was used to describe what Boaz did was called, he became a guardian redeemer. I love that term. He became a guardian redeemer. And he took on the debts and responsibilities for Ruth and Naomi, and he married Ruth. And what's really cool that now Ruth and Naomi had someone to take care of them, but Ruth ended up having a boy. She had a little baby boy, and she gave this boy to Naomi so that she would have a son of her own to take care of her. And this man, this boy that was born, his name was Obed. And Obed grew up to give birth to a son whose name was Jesse. And Jesse grew up to have a son, and his son's name was David. Yes, David, like King David. So now Ruth, who was not an Israelite to begin with, became a relative of King David. And of course, King David was a relative of Jesus. Ruth, this woman who was just nobody Moabite, has now become a really important person in the history of someone who becomes our Savior and our Redeemer, our guardian Redeemer, our Savior Jesus. So I think that's pretty cool. Ruth, grief turned into a compassionate friend for her mother-in-law, Naomi.
What do you call a boomerang that won't come back? A stick!
Hey Zoe, I got a good joke for you. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Cows go.
Cows go who?
No, silly, cows go moo. Good one.
Hi ET Kids! So today is an exciting day. It is the day that we get to do the special science experiment with Miss Shalana. A few weeks ago, you should have received a lockdown survival kit, and in that kit there was an envelope that said, "Do not eat. You are not to eat that." And inside the envelope is a special thing for today's science experiment. If you did not receive a kit and you need the special item for the science experiment, email kids@evangelnapanee.com and I will make sure that you get an envelope. So, pause the video, pause, and find your envelope and have fun. Send us videos. I love to see it.
Hey boys and girls, it is Miss Shalana, which means it is time for us to do a very cool science experiment. Now, I have a question for you as we get started in our experiment. Have any of you ever seen a lava lamp? They're kind of vintage or retro, but there is wax inside this lamp, and as the light bulb heats it up, it melts the wax and then it kind of moves all around inside the lamp in really cool bubbles. Well, if you have seen one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you have not seen one, don't worry, because we are going to be making our very own lava lamps at home today. You're going to need just a few things for this experiment to work. You are going to need a cup with a little bit of water. This is just regular tap water. You are going to need some vegetable oil, cooking oil, any type of oil will work. Some food coloring, because everything is better with a little bit of color. And the one that's a little bit kind of our interesting ingredient today is Alka-Seltzers. So hopefully you have access to some Alka-Seltzers, because this is kind of the key piece that we are going to need to make this work. And if not, you can at least watch our lava lamp that we're going to make together, because it looks really, really cool. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to add some food coloring to our water. Now, I picked a lovely shade of green. The color does not matter. Pick whatever color you want to make your lava lamp. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take some food coloring and we are going to add it into our water. So I have my water. I'm going to take my food coloring and you can get an adult to help you open it because sometimes it gets a little messy when we open the food coloring, and don't get it on your clothes because it will stain it. So I'm gonna take my food coloring and I'm just gonna add just a couple drops. Ooh, I always like adding food coloring to water and just watching it mix because it looks really cool when it mixes together. Look at that. That's not even the main part of the experiment, but it's still cool. Look at how cool that looks. So you can give it a little gentle swirl just to get the color all mixed in. There we go. Okay, so we have our water all set. Now we're going to take our oil. And the reason that we are using oil is because oil is what we call hydrophobic. And that literally translates to scared of water. And what it basically means is even if we mix oil and water together, they won't mix. So if I was to pour some oil carefully into my cup, where is the oil going? Is the oil mixing with the water? No, the oil's not mixing with the water. Where's the oil going? It's staying on top. And that's one really neat property with oil, is that oil is hydrophobic. It will not mix with water. So we can very clearly see we've got our green water and we've got kind of our yellowish oil. This is the setup of our lava lamp. I think that looks pretty cool to begin with because we've got two clear things that won't mix together even though they're in the same cup. Now comes the really cool part. We are going to take our Alka-Seltzers. There's 2 in this pack. So I'm just gonna open this pack up, rip it apart. And I've got one here. And I'm actually going to break this because we don't need to use the whole thing at once. It's nice if we can do an experiment a few times. So I'm gonna kind of break this. There we go, I kind of broke it in half. I'm gonna take my one piece and I'm going to drop it into my soon-to-be lava lamp. And we're gonna watch and see what happens. Here we go. And the really cool thing with this one is it will work as long as you keep putting in little pieces of Alka-Seltzer. So use those Alka-Seltzers that you have and you can put in little pieces and make your own lava lamp. And the cool thing is whatever color you chose for the water, so mine was green, we get all these really, look at all those big bubbles right there. Look at those ones. It's going crazy on this side now too. Woo! Look at that lava lamp. Now the reason that this happens is because when we put Alka-Seltzer in water, they dissolve and they make little air bubbles, and that takes the water up into the oil. But like I said, water and oil don't mix, so we get these really cool water bubbles up into the oil that eventually fall back down into the water, or some of them stay right on top of the surface. If you were to look at the top of your oil, you're going to see some bubbles there too. Let's see if we can get it going one more time with our last Alka-Seltzer. Pretty cool. That is our very own homemade lava lamp. And if you made your own homemade lava lamp, please send a photo to Miss Tanya or to the church, because I would love to be able to see all of the homemade lava lamps and all the different colors that you used to make yours.